and Manaji to that. Can I have Prateek or anybody from production team? Amit ji, please. Yes, sir. Ask and deliver.
And I'm very thankful that I'm sitting with you guys, and we are going to discuss a very interesting topic, that is sustainability and traceability in textiles. And the panel here brings the technical expertise. They have burned their hands, they have built platforms on traceability in blockchain and other spaces, and they have the understanding of the market and how the Indian market or the global market for that matter, what is the need for the traceability. That is what we are going to understand today. Okay, so we have Ms. Soni Mohanty from Bitcoin. We have Kamlesh Nagware, Chief Technology Officer, Snapper Future Tech. We have Manish Chandrasekhar, founder of Workframe Technologies, and we have Mr. Manjit Rath, CPO, Resha Mandi. Okay, so okay, traceability, we heard a lot earlier in terms of blockchain, metaverse, what people are doing, but the core concept remains the same, the problem remains the same, traceability in textile, right? So basically let's start with you, Soni. You have identified the problems that are in the textile domains, and I would like you to start and walk us through the problems. Can you take me here and walk?
Hello?
Okay.
So, good afternoon. I know everybody is back from lunch. And it's very cold out here as well. So, lunch and too cold is not a good combination. So that's why I don't want to, I really want to wake you up, guys. So, how many of you are actually listening to me? Raise your hands. Okay, that's a good number. Actually, people are paying attention. That's great. So can everybody tell me one by one why we are here for today? Anyone want to go first?
Yeah, it's a good platform and good opportunity.
For what?
It is a
Textile, curious, good opportunity.
I want to look at the world of future and what should be done now.
Okay, that's perfect. Right, so I think I have to rephrase what Mr. Moderator just introduced me, sorry, Biswajit, right? So I do not have experience in the textile sector, number one. ESG is something I know theoretically, I haven't worked in this space, number two. But what my expertise is, I've been working in the crypto and blockchain space since 2016. So I do understand the technology, I understand how technology has a use case in different sectors, including the supply chain and the textile sector. So that's what I am. But otherwise I've worked in fintech, mostly financial services. Great. So I met many people today, my friends from Indonesia. They all understand, they are from this industry. So which is I got to learn a lot So basically, before we understand how technology can make or break, we have to understand our own industry, right? So I got an opportunity just by speaking with people from here who are attending. What are the challenges that this sector has? And I realized, as I spoke, there are many challenges. So, okay, greenwashing. So, what is greenwashing? So, I'll come to the definition later. But after speaking with many of you, I realized that the common issue that was highlighted was lack of transparency, lack of traceability, lack of trust. Again, no authentication, no intellectual property protection, no consumer awareness, and there is no database where we can gather some knowledge about this entire sector, right? So these were some of the main topic or the main point that came out of all the discussion was lack of traceability and transparency. But greenwashing is a very big, I would say, issue globally in every supply chain sector. So what is greenwashing? I'll have to start with that. So how many of you really understand what is greenwashing? 1, 2, 3. Okay, right. So I have to go to the very basic. Okay, so I'll just keep it simple because we are running short of time. So greenwashing, in a simple term, is when an organization or a company or a brand makes misleading or false statements about the sustainability of a product or service. Just promoting incorrect information and misleading consumers and companies and telling a false narrative. We'll go drill down into it later. So do I stop here and join the panel, or are we gonna? Yeah, so transparency. So again, as I said, promoting false narratives about your product. Yeah. So this is transparency where, we do not know what you're buying. So that khadi over there, obviously people say, this is from this source, from that, very unique, you won't get this, anywhere else, it's just grown out of my hometown. But where is the, that's those licenses, certificates, so somebody can prove that? No, there is nothing. That lack of transparency and the product authentication. Cheap, we all seen Chinese products in India as well, and also abroad when I was living in UK, and even in Singapore, a lot of imitations of good quality products from China. We all seen that, right? So how do you know that I'm paying, like today I had a discussion with this man, a silk sari can cost 12,000, but somebody has put it up on a website selling at 1,000, right? There is nobody to validate that. And somebody will say, why would I pay 12,000 for the same sari that looks same? Looks same, why should I pay that money where I can get it for 1,000? So blockchain is the solution. Yeah, and intellectual property protection. So basically, giving an example, I was actually traveling, I was in Thailand, and there was this lady who just was talking to a few artisans. These artisans are not educated, but they had some art pieces which they wanted to promote internationally. And this lady was telling them, I'm going to buy 1,000 pieces of art from you. I'm going to help you promote in the international market. But what she didn't tell them is that she's going to brand it under her name, right? So these people are poor people. They do not have, it's just one-off sale for them. They have put a lot of hard work in creating those pieces of creative art, but that gets rebranded by somebody else who's going to put a margin, a bigger margin, and sell to high net worth individuals in all the developed countries. So again, blockchain is going to solve that. Yeah, so I think these are some of the points I wanted to share with you with regards to what I have so far known about this industry, textile supply chain in this industry. So thank you so much for listening and paying attention. Thanks.
Okay. So next I'll be coming to Kamlesh and Manish. So both of you had actually built the product and experienced the market. So first, before we get deeper into what you built and how it worked, I want to understand what was the motivation, right? How did you what led you to build this? Because here we are understanding, we are all talking about the problems, right? And you built it a while back. So what was the thought? How did you come to it?
Yeah, so like Sony mentioned about like challenges in the supply chain. It's just not the textile, but it could be any supply chain. So we working with a few customers in food traceability in UAE, and they actually got a solution like how now the consumer or buyer can see like how the food is traveled from the farmer to the table. Similar thing we try to implement for the textile. And this thing we created one product where the end-to-end traceability of the product, it could be any luxury product to some kind of food. And that is what we built in, because I am a part of the blockchain for the last 6 years. I've seen how the blockchain is valuable in terms of trust and transparency and building the security and auditability of any product or any asset. So that's what we built.
Manish.
Yeah, the way I started as I was just tech enthusiast when I started as blockchain. I was trying to figure out what fits in blockchain, trying to find a problem statement and trying to find a solution. But when I looked at my area of interest, I was more into the sustainability, I was more into the ethical sourcing kind of things. And that's why I got an opportunity to work in the internship with Bill Gates Foundation. I am in Bengaluru, while I was a second year engineering student. So that's where my interest was aligned. I started working in concepts like menstruation hygiene, CSR framework, and though they were doing good, later I worked in community agriculture, but later it transited into textile industry, and I mean like that's how the journey was. But later I realized this is the best use case which is there for where there's wide audience who would like to know where their food came from, whether it is ethical or not, and they're ready to pay premium. And software like us can benefit them.
So Vishwajit, I would just like to, before we get into the tech play, I would just like to take a step back. Okay?
I was coming to that because Resha Mandi has been working with the farmers, manufacturer. So now I want to understand from you. Actually, I was coming to you next for that. That is, we are here talking about traceability. That is the main focus. So, and you are there working with the stakeholders. So, how do you see it? What is the need? How do you see it?
So, I believe traceability is a means to the goal. Okay? Traceability by itself is not the goal. Okay? So, when we are talking of sustainability, transparency, we are talking about all these IP and all of that. Traceability is the factor which is going to enable this. Okay? So, these are the different use cases that are going to be enabled by traceability. Okay? So, traceability is going to lay the foundation. Okay? And then based on this foundation, we can build different use cases. Okay? Data is actually, traceability is nothing but the data. Okay? So data is a very powerful decision-making tool. Okay? Traceability will provide that data to make the decisions, to prioritize our problems, okay? And to be able to drill down, pinpoint the problem and then solve it. Okay? So just to give an example, my numbers may be a little haywire, but the apparel industry today globally manufactures about 80 billion to 150 billion apples every year and contributes to about 2% of the carbon footprint. Okay? carbon footprint. Apparel, the apparel. So now 2% is, I think, next to only the oil industry. Okay? So it sounds pretty bad. But the good thing is these are just estimates. Okay? The number could be much lower or much higher. Right? So, and it's anybody's guess, as good as mine. Okay? So the point is that with traceability, we get these estimate numbers closer to the actual numbers. And then we can drill down and pinpoint where exactly is the problem, how do we solve that. So that is the power of traceability. So that is what traceability is going to bring to the table. Yeah.
So now coming back to you, Sony. So you spoke about blockchain for one technology that can solve the issues. Basically, there are other technologies like the Web3. Basically, the Web3 is coming in, and Manish, you also spoke about, and you're going to speak about it. So, how do you see technology in general terms, not just blockchain? In general terms, like he pointed out, data is actually the key to it, and these are just the means, right? So, how do you see or visualize technology in general changing the industry or enabling it for a better?
Yeah. Hello? Can you hear me? Hi. Hello. Yeah. So Web3, what do I say? Where do I start? Web1, how many people do over here know the difference between Web1 and Web2 before I start with Web3? What is Web1?
It's basically just the information on the website, like a Wikipedia page, which you can't interact with. You can just look at it and learn from it.
And then what is Web2?
Something you can interact with, like a Facebook page, Instagram, that's Web2. Web3 would be like decentralization. That is like basic.
Decentralization means I don't need a Facebook, right?
No, like the power would be contained in a one, like Facebook has all the social media right now. It's controlling the social media. Decentralization means Facebook won't have the control over our startup.
Close.
City owns the Facebook, right?
Yes, it's a community-driven platform, because now the Facebook, the Meta layoffs happened. They're laying off so many. I mean, this is a global news, right? So many people affected globally. In Singapore alone, sorry, just diabetic, many people. So decentralization is the need of the hour. So no more all these big players, Google's, Facebook, can just be the sole player, the owners of data. Because what Facebook I used to, when I started using Facebook, it was fun for me, but I never knew they can track me down. Same with Google, right? I was so happily using Google. At least I knew they're tracking me, Google Maps. So data privacy, I don't want to be tracked or traced, right? I want control over my data. So that's Web3. When you have control over your own data, you're not passing that control to a central authority. That is freedom, right? So that's Web3 in a very simpler term. And why this is becoming popular? Because we as individuals who have evolved from a static page to a social media giant like Facebook, where I was happily putting all my data. When I joined Facebook in 2017, I was literally putting my status every few minutes. I'm not exaggerating. Where I was sitting, what I was eating, what I like, what I don't like, and the next day I see targeted ads. So these ads are targeted at my likes and dislikes. So the data was used by the Facebook. But now I don't want that. I want to own my own data. So that's basically Web3 decentralization. And this technology can basically disrupt many industries, and eventually Meta will eventually see a decentralized Meta. That's what I think. That's in very simple terms. Thank you.
Okay. And now. Okay. So technology in general, we have a lot of use cases like using microprocessors, digital yarn, and there are firms who have actually built use cases, tried it, tested it. Two of them are among us right now. So Kamlesh, I would like you to start your presentation, walk us through what you have built, and show us in reality what it could be like to have traceability in textiles.
Yeah, thank you. Like what we discussed, like understand the trust and transparency and traceability in any supply chain. How the blockchain is helping bring the traceability in a supply chain in textile. So we have created one product called Trace Chain. There's a trace plus chain kind of thing. So where you record end-to-end data from manufacturer to the consumer level, and you can see the traceability, and you can add another angle like ESG goals, sustainability, and all the things. So I will go through and I will just take 5 minutes. Yeah, it's here. It is not connected.
Can we have the presentation, please? Yes, yes.
Yeah. So I think there are many use cases. Even I see even like Zara, H&M. I heard about the Ramen. I have even Decathlon. That kind of use cases people already done in India. And
I think that is not implemented blockchain.
so I see they have done it, but they are not successful. So they are maybe trying something else. But they tried it. Yeah. And there are many. Even I know one of my friends come in Pune, Mitchell. So they even have an end-to-end traceability for cotton traceability to even the welfare of the customer. So I think blockchain, I think not required. You all know. So let's skip it. And what blockchain provide in terms of shared data, smart contract, consensus, immutability, and single source of truth, not required. I think this is we can skip already complete. So this is our product. So from end to end, even this similar thing we use for one of the plastic recycle in India, and also some food traceability for customer. And the same thing could be used for any supply chain. So we tried with one textile POC kind of thing. So here you can see there are all the stakeholders there, and they are writing the information to the blockchain, and it will provide some kind of transparency, traceability, and tolerance. So and how it looks like. So like every stakeholder writing some information to one common ledger, and then whoever want to see the traceability, they can see in any time in their supply chain life cycle. And this could be enabled via the NFC tag. So you simply you can just use the NFC tag in your maybe apparel and simply see the data via the NFC or QR code kind of thing. And this has the benefit to the, because like in the blockchain, if you're not having a benefit to all the stakeholders, then the implementation you show like who will be the benefited. So how the other stakeholder get benefited? The consumer has the real time data, retailer has their supply chain traceability perspective. Manufacturer know like who is buying the customer and what they need to produce and other things. And if you scan this QR code, you can see the end-to-end traceability of one particular T-shirt.
Can you show it?
Yes, someone can scan as they can see. So, no, video in my laptop I have. So simply if you scan, you will get one URL and get the end-to-end traceability from like those, how the yarn is, all the things, and then retail and supply.
As a consumer, I don't have to know all this technical.
Correct.
I just want to buy a shirt. The seller is stating that it is 100% cotton
Correct.
and very environmental friendly. For me, I just scan and see.
Yeah. Simply sometimes you can put this QR code to any shirt or any t-shirt, any garment or any product. Or suppose because QR code generally people can fake it. So we can able the NFC tag. Yes, so you can just use the NFC tag, write the data, and you can scan it with the NFC tag. And also,
QR code can be fake also.
no, No, I think QR code generally fake, right? Suppose like for example someone's copy this one and put it anywhere, right? So then they say what is it because suppose I put it from one t-shirt and someone just copy this one and put it many 100 t-shirts. And the data is coming same. So for this, like suppose maybe you can have some dynamic QR code. Is a technology where you can have a dynamic QR code. Other things, suppose you can maybe enable NFC tag. So NFC. So there's some near field communication, like where you can write the information and you can lock it, so no one can modify. And the data is coming from the same blockchain system.
So on one hand, we have a solution like blockchain enables traceability, but the means by which we are enabling the consumer that visibility, the QR, then it comes with the risk that it can be copied, can be pasted, and okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
There is a solution, there is a risk to it.
Correct.
Nice.
So like suppose this is a case study where like Levi's actually means this is a lab production in UK actually. These are some customer already doing, like suppose Pratibha Syntax is based in manufacturing company in MP. They are doing the blockchain traceability of the customer. This GLOBALSPIN using for this thing, these are the brand. So all these are using the textile industry in the blockchain. So these are not just the kind of theoretical concept of things. So this is about my company. So we have two product line description testing and doing some projects, and we also kind of training institute for educating awareness of blockchain. We based in India and Dublin. And we are equipped as the STBI, Ministry of IT and Telecommunication, and part of the Aditya Birla Group, part of the Best FinTech Award in STBI. We are a Hyperledger certified service provider. This is my profile. Yeah.
Thank you. So now, okay. Now Manish, let's hear about you, your firm and the product. Let's see. It's really interesting that there are solutions and then the risks that needs to be mitigated, and that is the whole idea of this discussion, to identify what are the issues, what are the blockers, and how do we solve it. What could be the potential solutions to it?
While the presentation takes time, I'll just give a brief introduction about myself. I'm Manish. Good afternoon. It's great to be here amongst all the members and such rockstar panel members. Just to give an insight of what I do, I used to work I started my journey as a blockchain developer, as a research intern rather in Bill Gates Foundation, where I was working on projects where we were trying to digitize Tier 2, Tier 3 sectors, unorganized markets, and that was something which gave me, this was even before UPI came in place or the note ban took place. So that kind of an experience made me relate to the local market, and then I did this research internship. The research internship was basically blockchain technology in menstruation and hygiene. So how unemployed body workers can get the menstruation pads and they get awareness about it and they don't sell it out there. And there's no, what do you say, anywhere leakages of CSR thing. This is one of the projects I did. Later we developed in community agriculture. The community agriculture was then taken to NSRCL. I was at the age 21 when I started my startup there. In the Launchpad Incubation Center there, and post which, that was when I was completing my engineering as well, and then I got introduced to the world of Web3, rather blockchain. I would rather say I'm a more blockchain guy than Web3, and then we started this. So just a view on what I did: supply chain traceability in textiles, and go. So sorry. Yeah. So Cultive was a company which was there in Bengaluru, and later we rebranded as Textile. I was a co-founder of this company with a Nordic scene design partner. And what we did there was we worked with premium brands in Nordic regions, and these were usually streetwear brands, where we used to work with those brands and we used to tell their story to the end customer. Let's say tomorrow you go to London and see a beautiful cloth, and then you see a QR code associated with it, and you can get to know the journey of the product. Or if not, store experience. Even on an e-commerce website, used to give a plugin. In that plugin widget, you can just click and you can get to know the entire journey of the product. And some of the, what we did there basically was, yes, digital supply chain management. We used to make sure the manufacturers can connect to his vendors. Let's say in jeans, it is usually fabric, fiber, CMT, the trims, zippers, all those members involved. Data-driven decision is that all the data is assembled, not only for end customer to take a decision, even for vendors, even for brands to select who is the potential brands and verify those credentials as well. That was also built. And all this was powered by blockchain layer. And yes, so this is how the QR code would look like. We had, just to give publisher journey as I mentioned, supply chain management used to verify the credential. Let's say a vendor claims to have certain certifications. We used to verify that by hash coding his certificate and looking at his certification ID and verifying that. And badges and certification. If I say something as this brand is LEED certified, the end consumer might not know what is LEED certification or EIN standard. But if I say if a brand has 4 certifications, which can give him a sustainability sticker, that was called as badge, and this was accepted well in the Nordic regions. This was how my front end used to look for brands to enter, to know about us, the pricing standards, and this was the platform at the back end, how they can connect, how they can integrate their systems and go ahead. This is something which we built. We had more than 7 brands in Nordic regions using this. When we say 7 brands, they had multiple labels associated with this. This was going well. And this one topic also which I wanted to share was, I tried reaching out to Myntra head of sourcing, Mr. Kaustav sir, regarding this. He said, Manish, it's a great project, but we can't do it in India. And that's one reason why I wanted to share this as well. Because he mentioned in Europe regions, it's more of a margin market. And whereas India is volume market. If Myntra happens to do this, Myntra's competitors will get to know their, what do we say, where their vendors are, what is the price they're selling. They can give something more. So they want to keep those private information to them itself. So they said in India it might not work. And that was my takeaway from it as well as such. Still, Indian brands are not ready for it. That's what I felt. There are members, but no companies want to risk it. Most of the mentality here is like, if I get discount coupon, I'm okay with buying. Nobody really, it's a very niche market here, and brands don't want to test it out, which I felt with the brands I started to work with. But if anyone is there, I'm happy to connect. So this is about traceable, and that's what we mentioned right there. And some of the other projects which I see in traceability is like trade finance. The present way, what is happening is that it's human prone, manually entering the data. As we are working on the digital layer, there's more pseudonymous people, and you don't know if you can trust a member or not. So as I mentioned here, manually anti-money laundering review we have to go across. There are multiple platforms where there are multiple ERP systems and CRM associated. You got to communicate with them. So there's lots of challenges which we see. So if we can have a trade financing platform on blockchain, and there are other things which are there as well, for SMEs especially, that will, so there's a case study by built on Corda network, and they claim that the efficiency, what takes 3 months of time can be done in 2 weeks, once it's done digitized format, because eliminating paper-based transaction. And also you don't need 50% of the workforce when you digitize the entire thing. So that is one takeaway which I would like to mention to the audience here. And second thing, I guess in the first panel, people spoke about this, but in less than 2 minutes I'll wrap it up. So when members here who spoke about NFTs, they can correlate all this with art, culture, gaming, community, ownership, blockchain, storytelling for members to join in. But if you look at it, this all stays consistent with the luxury branding, right? So even luxury setup uses the same thing for how they want to create a gamified behavioral approach to get their customers. So somewhere I feel NFTs and metaverse, my personal belief is that it works perfectly with luxury brands. And some more points to that is that here here NFT creates connections, create bonds kind of a thing, right? Storytelling. That sits well with this. The brand authority, then usually luxury brands was looking at premium audience. Now they can go to Gen Z audience as well. They can go to crypto enthusiasts, and they're exploring this as well. And perception of rarity. Let's say there's a unique piece which I only have. As previously mentioned, I'm ready to pay more premium to it to be known as the only guy to have it. and even when I sell it to Vishwajit, it will go for again the same price. So that is one kind of an aspect, and exclusivity and experiencing luxury. So these are the things, how it works together. Let me give you an example. Tomorrow Ray Rabbit is planned to launch a new product, new fashion season. What can be done is that their new design can be made as an, all the designs which are there can be made as an NFTs, and it can be limited in numbers. All of us can have one design of it, and later that can be experienced in metaverse. And not only that, that doesn't end there. So I can experience it, I can know about the structure, everything quality related to it. And having said that, let's say I'm paying a premium price for this textile. If I have anything related to billing, if I want to check its counterfeit, if I want to check, like get it stitched, or if I want to resell it, this NFT holds good for it. So these are the ideas which I had in mind and which I wanted to share. And that's it, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
I'm going to add to one point.
Yes, please.
So when we are talking about traceability, we are equating it with blockchain. Somewhere.
I want someone to take that. Please.
Yes, traceability is there, because manual traceability is there.
But how they track the data?
There is, exactly. So there is invoice traceability. There are, there is invoice traceability, there is manual traceability, there is a whole lot of traceability that is there. Okay. Now, when we talk about blockchain is your storage mechanism. So, in all the slides, you will see farms or growers to everything, right? How do you actually get to know what is the quality of the material that was used? How do you actually get to know? Somebody is entering in that Manjitra Weaver has made inside.
Manual entry.
The moment there is human, that's why you had brought up this point. The moment there is a human intervention, there are chances of errors, there are chances of manipulation, there are all of this stuff. And also, where is the data trapped? Okay, so we all know that if a data is captured at the source, it's reliable. The moment it's not captured at the source, there is always a chance of manipulation, errors, etc. that creep in. Okay. So I was talking in the previous year, I was talking about there's a use case layer, there's a backbone, which is the traceability. But there is one layer below that. Okay. So there are IoT devices for farms. There are automation in manufacturing units. All of these actually should feed into the traceability. Right? So at Reshamandi we have a IoT device, okay, which is installed in the netting shed of the cocoons, for the cocoons. And it will be capturing the temperature and humidity. Okay, this is just as an example. Now, from the humidity and the temperature, you are actually able to gauge and predict what will be the quality of the cocoon. Similarly, we use AI/ML to actually create the cocoon. So, today, can I tell that this particular batch of cocoon, the reliability, basically taking out the thread from the cocoon, was low. Hence, your yarn would have knots in the yarn, and hence the sari that has been manufactured from it will not be of the finest quality. Okay? So that is what the traceability brings in. Okay?
So basically, what you're telling us is, and if I'm wrong, please correct me, that when we talk about traceability and you talk about greenwashing, right? As long as it's manual, as long as there is human intervention. So exactly that is what I was talking about. That technology, not just blockchain.
Exactly.
Technology, another piece. IoT here it comes. So when the data production, data generation, data storage, and data uses, basically these three things
Yes.
come together. So data production has to be by system, by the devices, not human.
Yes.
And when it happens, then we actually achieve the traceability. Then we
Yes.
learn to store it on blockchain. There it comes. And then the readability, how you use it, how you understand it, how you make it reach the customer. Today we are talking about QR. Tomorrow it can be anything else, right? Okay, great.
Just to add, same thing as you mentioned. So currently what we did was we are taking it from the manual enter data and used to give them acknowledgement that whatever I'm saying should be true. Later I felt it may or may not work. So then we started working with sensor integration, and that's a required need of the hour. Everyone claims to be something but appears something else, right? So that is one thing. And there's a company called Textile Genesis. I guess Vishwajit can speak more about it, and they have actually cracked it, kind of a thing. And even what Sir mentioned, NFC is also a great tool in those actions as well.
Those are all different mediums. So we need to combine all this technology.
And working with ERP tools, existing Web 2 infrastructure, that can also add layer, I think. But Vishwajit can speak about
We'll discuss Textile Genesis, of course. But before that, you talked about the Indian market, right? When you try to reach out to Myntra and you learn that it is not visible in India, right? And then how Textile Genesis, for that example, how they have done it and how they have achieved it. We discussed that. But before that, let's understand more about Indian market, right? If we do it here, whether it would be visible, adapted, and used, right? Because like you said, it's not a price market, it's a volume market. Today, any customer, any user, if you want to sell him anything, just tell him that there is a discount. And the chances of your sales go up, right? So what are the other problems in Indian context, in Indian market context? And you can maybe shed more light on it because you're working in that ecosystem and other folks can join in.
Yes, so
Yeah.
there are different aspects to traceability. So one is when we are talking about, there are regulatory bodies that are coming in, there are regulations that are coming in, which are essentially forcing you to be traceable. Okay, and that is more on the social part of it, and also the pollution, carbon footprints, all of those things. But the important thing is when we are talking about consumers. Let me give you an example. So I think Swiggy does it, or one of the food. So when you order on Swiggy, you get that this is the delivery boy, and then you get information about the delivery boy. He has two sisters. Zomato. Okay, sorry. Okay, you get information about the delivery boy. Why?
To use some kind of
You connect emotionally.
you will pay something to it.
So
Correct.
it also gives you a tip. You can tip
So
it.
kind of you helping someone to maybe.
So essentially, you are bringing in that emotional connect, the human connect. Okay. Today, when we pick up a sari, we don't have a human connect. It's a commodity. But can I actually tell that this is the weaver with his photograph, with the loom where he had created the sari? Right? Did you realize what is the effort that goes behind making of this shirt? How many people are involved? How many livelihoods are involved in making of this shirt? So again, in your slide, I believe, there was traceability and transparency. Traceability and transparency are different. Okay. Traceability is having the information. Transparency is what I want to show you. So a Zomato probably has the bike number as well, but they don't show that to you because there is no connect with the bike number. Right? So it is what is the information that you want to share, where you will create a connect with the consumer so that the consumer is ready to pay you higher. And there's a perceived value. So where the perceived value of the product goes up. So this requires a whole lot of awareness, and it has to be driven by tech companies and by the brands as to how do they make the consumers more aware. So how, if, as he said, you have a QR code and you get the entire history of it. Now, if you have that, are you actually selling it to the consumer or not? Is your brand selling it or not? Once the brand starts selling it, you start justifying your higher margins.
Yeah, just very quickly. So true, it's the art of storytelling. Because I was in Davos in 2000, before COVID, in 2020 January was my last overseas travel, and COVID hit after that, right? I was in Davos. There was this company who were exhibiting, and they claimed that these are sustainable clothes. I told them this just looks like a cotton cloth that I have at my house, in my cupboard, my wardrobe. How do you prove this is like, because he was telling me some stories like, this is China, this is Mongolia, this thread is from this place. I don't understand I don't know the lingo, but he was using these lingos and this came from that. I said, how, what? You're telling me a story, even how do you prove that story is true? Then he scanned that QR. Obviously, I saw the story, right? So this is basically, then I was very surprised that that one, that was I think that was a jacket. That was a jacket, looked very simple, has traveled so many countries to be the, what I was going to buy or something. I mean, the threads, whatever, it was like so many different countries it has traveled and finally reached Davos. And it was on display, and I was totally mesmerized with that.
Even same like I was in Dublin, September this year. So I visited some stores, and I think every product has some kind of QR code attached to the product, and whether it's a recycled or whether organic cotton or what. But I think in India this is not a thing because people is the volume, and I think they want to maybe get discount, maybe want to pay less compared to. But if you want, what economies of cost? Awareness and also the customer need to pay the premium, right? If suppose someone adding this technology to life, there's no cost. So who is going to bear the cost? If consumer is not paying, then brand is not going to accept.
That fast fashion or fast
Correct.
damaging to their market.
Yeah, it's basically about who likes the bullet.
Correct.
Right? So you are ready to buy a Nike shoe for whatever amount, and not a local shoe.
Correct.
So I don't think affordability is the problem, but it is the mindset bit and the awareness that has to come about. And once that comes about, everybody can charge a premium.
And basically the question would be in terms of marketability, how do you introduce it? What is your art of storytelling and how do you achieve it?
On a packet of cigarette, you have smoking kills. You are selling cigarette, but you are giving a disclaimer, it kills. Something like that, it should say, the fast fashion or whatever.
Yeah.
So even I think the reality, like for example, even we were talking to one fashion brand in last 1 year, so implement particular thing. But I think it's not working out because because I don't. But like there is another thing, like suppose there is the Pratibha syntax, right? So one of my friends' company implemented the display platform for them, and they are even the plots like suppose some farmers in Madhya Pradesh, and who are the farmer. Sorry. Is not working. Hello? Yeah. Okay. So there's a company in Pune who is working with Pratibha Syntax, one of the who process the cotton, get the cloth, and they make the farmer data and the data about the which villages and their family income everyone, and at the welfare is the customer and customer, and now people who buy can even donate to the farmers for education. So lots of this thing already happening in India. You can go to this credible platform, Pratibha Syntax, and the welfare is customer. And a similar thing could be applicable to the other brands can be implemented. But I think now how the brand take it, whether what do they see the business model, like suppose if they are not seeing in terms of revenue to their business, then it's a product. Like suppose I mentioned about the one brand talking to many.
Sorry.
I have a question, quick question. Like in Singapore or UK, you have this recycle bins, and you have used clothes. For example, what happened when I was living in UK, there was this NGO. You have to donate those clothes, and they resell it to poor people. In Singapore, you can recycle them. Those clothes. But does India also have those?
I think this brand is
So I think we are still exceeding the time. So it has been a very interesting discussion, and I am pretty sure there's a lot to discuss, and we'll take it off stage. But yeah, the key takeaways from the discussion are more than what I was expecting. So blockchain is not the only solution. We established that. Traceability is not the only thing. It's just a means to it. And basically, yes, IoT is there. We understood generating the data, storing the data, how you use it, how you store it, how you build the storage is the key to it. And there are different challenges, different products would be coming in, and different technologies would Quickly, I'll just ask if people have listened and have any question. Yeah, please.
Just I'll make it very quick. Last year I investigated a case of the organic cotton from Xinjiang province in China. And you know that Xinjiang cotton is banned all over the world, most parts of the world. 90% of the brands don't buy cotton coming from Xinjiang. So we did a physicality, the traceability, but how and what happened was the country of origin was actually Xinjiang. But when cotton was supplied, it came in from Pakistan, right? So how can blockchain really do a traceability of such kind of things? Because only the physical monitoring is the only thing that's the answer to that. So can blockchain really replace the physicality of the whole issue is my big question.
So the use case that the case study you are talking about is exactly what Textile Genesis has done.
Okay.
Right? It's the same thing. The gene was used that comes specific from Xinjiang province in China, and US had banned it, right? And basically you have the information of the gene encoded on blockchain, right?
Okay.
And every time you get a textile, a piece of clothing, you just test it against those property of the gene. So if you find the similar match, you know where it was produced because it is very much specific to one province. And that is exactly the case study of Textile Genesis. And you can really read about it a lot. There's a lot of work material out there.
Excellent. Okay.
So this is exact use case that it was mentioned.
Okay.
Right. Any more questions? I'm pretty sure many people would want to connect you off stage and understand and continue the discussion. But yeah, short time.
So thanking all our dignitaries and guests for a thoughtful panel discussion and presentation on supply chain traceability and textile. Now requesting Mr. Yash Arya to facilitate our honorable dignitaries on the dais. Presenting Mr. Vishwajit Kumar, Director, Textile. Ms. Soni Mohanty, Foreign Expert and Co-Founder, Bitcoin. Mr. Kamlesh Nagware, Chief Technology Officer, Snapper Future Tech. Can we have the applauses going on? Mr. Manish Chandrasekhar, Founder, Workframe Technologies. Mr. Manjeet Rath, Chief Product Officer, Resha Mandi. I once again thank all the dignitaries